Well, I became a teacher because I loved the idea that you could convey new bodies of knowledge to people and open up their world in a way that they had never seen before. And I wanted to be a part of that.
I love working with kids, and you know, they're the future of our country, and it's a very worthwhile profession to spend time in and to work for.
I wanted to be like my teachers, and I wanted to inspire other students to go on and make themselves better.
If you lined up all of our teachers and said, is money the most important thing? I don't think you'd find anybody that would say yes.
Part of Referred Law 16 is a mandated state evaluation system that will evaluate teachers in all areas of the state the same way. So teachers in Bonesteel, Beersford, Sioux Falls, Rapid City all have the same evaluation system.
We tend to think that we can paint every school with one brush, that it's a one-size-fits-all. Our state is so diverse. We have schools that have 1 to 200 kids, and we have schools that have 10,000 kids. And so when you try to paint every school the same and say everybody's going to follow this same line of thinking, we find that it doesn't always work that well.
I think the fact that this bill creates the same thing all across the state is one of the biggest problems of the bill. We have different needs in Rapid City than they have in Lemon, South Dakota. We can't take the same solution and say it works for every school and every student.
That's what makes our society unique. That's what makes our world unique. That's what makes teachers unique with how they teach our children, because each child learns differently, and the way that they learn should be expressed in the classroom.
We have a principle in South Dakota that a lot of people talk about quite a bit, and that's called local control. We have people that run for the legislature telling everyone they're for local control and that they're for funding education. And this bill comes along and it really says this: if you want our money, you have to jump through all of these hoops, and you can't make that decision.
RL 16, I mean, if it passes, you're going to see a huge shift in the control. I think the local school boards are going to lose control, local administrators are going to lose control, and it's going to be shifted to the administration and peer.
That is why we create local school boards. That's why they've always been there. Local school boards, local parents, local community leaders, and local teachers know what's best for their students. Period.
We know our students the best, not our state government, not our legislators. Let us make the decisions, and if they want to work together, I'm all for it, but let's work together instead of just making decisions from the top down.
There was very little consultation with people of educational backgrounds, and even though the bill was revised and it did get better, it's still far from what we need in education.
Peer is going to make the decisions about what is best for all the kids in the state and all the school districts. That is not good for South Dakota. We need to keep the politicians out of the classroom.
Well, I don't think that I've seen many times in my 30 years of education that we find that teachers seem to be getting beaten up as bad as they have. We've had some tough years financially. We've had freezes on funding. We've been cut on funding. And I think that the teachers have found themselves taking the back seat many times.
I think South Dakota has done an amazing job of educating its students and its children with a small budget. I think it's a testament to education that we have the lowest paid teachers in the nation and some of the best performing students. And I think that has been a cooperation of parents, communities, teachers. I think everybody in South Dakota really pulls together for the benefit of their children.
We're forgetting about how our students do on our ACT tests. We're forgetting about our graduation rates. We're forgetting about putting students out into the communities that are successful and contribute.
Every year we've had to look at either cutting teachers, increasing classroom sizes, and all of that seems to be kind of ignored. And we're focusing on trying to offer incentive pay for teachers when we don't even have enough funds in the base to provide a quality education for the kids. But that's not the way it should be. If we want a quality education for our kids, it's something we need to make an investment in. and our legislators and our parents and everybody else needs to step up and say, you know, this is important. This is our kids' futures we're talking about here. We want them to be successful. We want them to have every opportunity that they can possibly have to grow. But the school districts are struggling right now, and we're at the bottom of the barrel. There's nowhere else we can go, and the quality of a student's education is suffering. And teachers see it, educators see it, school boards see it. But the only thing that we can understand is why don't our legislators see that?
When teachers are having to go into their own pocket to buy supplies for their classroom, to make the education experience the most enlightening that they possibly can, and if that means not having access to field trips and different activities and trying to do the best they can with what they have, I don't think the blame needs to be placed on the teachers at all.
South Dakota schools have been successful for a long time. They've been successful for a lot of reasons. Part of their success has been the fact that teachers have worked hard to get kids where they are. I'd sure hate to see that go away.
There's lots of research out there that supports that, you know, student achievement does not increase when merit pay is given to one teacher versus another. We all have an important role in the school, whether you're the math teacher, you're the English teacher, science, or whatever. Every teacher is important and every subject is important. And just putting merit pay out there for one particular subject group to go after, I think makes the other teachers feel like their subject isn't as important.
I'm a math and science teacher, so in theory, I would stand the most to benefit, get some bonus pay, get some extra dollars. But educating a child is a team effort. I can't teach science if they don't know how to read. I can't teach science if they don't know how to draw. We need to look at the whole child, and merit pay starts taking teachers out.
Teachers will be, you know, looking to make the extra money. I mean, it's going to be hanging out there in front of them, and they're going to want to go after it. And I think that for some teachers, they're really going to want to kind of keep some things to themselves, and it's going to limit that collaboration that takes place because they're going to be competing for dollars. And I think it's going to have a negative impact on our schools and our kids because student achievement does not increase when merit pay is given to one teacher versus another. There's lots of studies out there that support that.
Merit pay has been tried in other states and it hasn't worked.
New York, Chicago, Nashville, merit pay. It doesn't work. Why in South Dakota would we try merit pay knowing it has failed time and time again?
When you pit teachers against teachers in a competitive atmosphere rather than encouraging and nurturing collaboration, kids are going to be hurt. Teachers will compete for dollars rather than sharing what they know is best for kids.
In regards to curriculum purposes, you really have to have good collaboration. You have to have an ability for teachers to talk about, you know, this is what I'm doing in my class, and these are the kids that are going to be coming to you. And it has been documented in research that collaborative teams in a professional learning community are essential to student achievement. So we need to try to keep that in place as much as we can. It's very important.
When teachers work together in that way, they create and present the best things they can for kids.
One of my favorite things about being a teacher is the fact that teachers collaborate and share ideas with other teachers, and it's how we as teachers get to be better. And I just feel like the merit pay idea is the wrong way to go, because if one teacher gets merit pay over another, they're not going to want to share ideas and collaborate anymore.
High-stakes testing has been known nationwide to be the memorize and regurgitate process. It does not enhance those 21st century skills like collaboration, creativity, critical thinking. You can't test those things on a bubble test very efficiently. Therefore, it's not what's best for kids. We need to get kids ready to be able to think and process and work in the 21st century, not be able to answer questions on a test.
How do you measure success? Is it one test, one time a year? Is it a couple tests? Or is it the fact that your kids, when they graduate, have success outside of school? That they go on to college, they go on to Vo-Tex, that they go on and make a good living for themselves? That they're a well-rounded person that's been taught a lot of lessons in life? Is that the most important thing? or is it how well we scored on the test?
I've seen my students who don't think inside the box come up with amazing solutions for individual problems. And they're not solutions that could be tested with an A, B, C multiple choice test. And then I've seen the harm that that does when they go home and their No Child Left Behind testing score puts them down to a one word. You are proficient or you are basic. When these students have amazing talents outside of those subject areas. And we've gotten away from looking and educating the whole child. You cannot reduce a child down to a standardized test score. Nor can you reduce a teacher's ability to teach to a child's test on a standardized test score. We are humans. We can't be determined to a one word and label. We're more than a one word label.
I'm not sure how people who don't like big government could possibly like RL16. It is an expansion of government. There will be 6 committees with more than 93 people making the decisions for the evaluation tool, merit pay, all of those pieces of the bill. And they will make that decision for every county and district in the state. That is really big business. That takes away all of local control.
At a time like this when budgets are tight, expansion of state government in this direction is crazy.
I don't think politicians in the classroom is the right answer. They don't know what is best for our students. They don't know what's best for our schools. And I just feel like they are treading in an area that they're unfamiliar with. And unless they seek out the expertise and the opinion and the input from the experts, it's going to be a sinking ship.
What's going on in South Dakota is what's going on in South Dakota, and we have a different standard in South Dakota than they have in other places in the country, and trying to take somebody else's idea and apply it here in our state without looking at how that affects our state just seems the wrong thing to do.
When something like this appears out of nowhere, I'm extremely suspicious, and you feel blindsided. You feel like what your value is in the classroom is taken for granted.
I care about my students. That's why I took a job in education, and all I can think about is that this bill will hurt them every day in that classroom.
There are a lot of things that we could do for the kids of South Dakota, and there's a lot of things that we could do for the teachers of South Dakota. RL16 is the wrong answer for that.